Yeah, I had to keep telling myself, but before we start the pod, I had to keep telling myself during the match yesterday. Like I know I had, yeah, I appreciate you guys just letting me have my little rant after that first half, um, or after we conceded or whatever. But I have to keep reminding myself that we all want the same thing. It's just we all want different avenues to achieve that same thing. Because I was finding myself again. I had a couple beers in that match. I was finding myself like, the fuck is wrong with you two? Like, how do you not see this? And I'm like, oh, because they they see it in a different way, and so I had to keep myself that.
I struggle because like I'm not defending everything that Tuchel does. I feel like I'm the Tuchel apologist of the group. Uh, I'm not trying to agree with everything that he does because there are things not taking RLC off with the yellow card, like that makes no sense to me. And Pulisic playing right wing back, that makes no sense to me. So I'm not going to sit here and say everything he does is great, but yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
So it's you and me turning into Matt and me in terms of Jorginho.
All
Well,
roads
don't worry,
lead back to
I'll get
Jorginho.
my subtle plug in there eventually. No pod is complete unless I throw a couple jabs out there, but it's not going to be elaborate.
I'm going on strike. If that happens.
Siemi Bakayoko, oh yeah, Samina Mina, Edward Mende, Samina Mina Sam Sadate. He comes from Senegal.
And I think going out and get Saul was the top transfer of the market for Chelsea.
Chesney could have been in the shower smoking a cigarette like he was at Arsenal, and we still would not have scored.
My rants have been fueled by Scott. Don't get it twisted.
Big Rom. Man, fuck you.
In Roman we trust, right?
You and me are going to have a battle royale about Jorginho and diving.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to the Flag Stays Down podcast. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. First of all, I want to say thank you and hello to those watching us on Twitch. You can catch us pretty much every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Quick introductions. I'm Andy. You can find me on Twitter at Comiskey North. We have someone who's a Mourinho stan and not a Marina stan in DJ Parkour. And finally, we got somebody who is surprisingly the moderate of the group, Matt at Matus Lee. Parker, how you doing?
Yeah, it's been a good weekend, man. I always love these 3-day weekends where we get Labor Day off and feels like you get a bonus day, and then on the backside you get a 4-day work week, coming up. So it's good vibes in the house. It's good feelings. Carolyn and I stayed up and played cards most of the night, so it's a good time to just let your hair down and relax a bit. So feeling good. Been a good weekend so far, and the week didn't start out great, but we ended on a good note, even if there was a little bit of fortune in that coming from the VAR officials, which we don't really get to say often on this podcast. So we'll take it when we get to say it. So overall, pretty all right vibes. How are you, Matthew?
Doing well. Just got back from Appleton this afternoon. We were up there. I had to help kind of restore an art project that I had built for my mother-in-law. So knowing me, brought a bunch of tools and got all that stuff done. So it was a good time. Did a nice little fish fry on Friday. Had a couple old fashions, and it was good. Just to see her family and everything like that. Got to spend time with the nephews, and it was good times all around. So can't really complain. All's good. We're here on a Sunday. Feels like a Saturday, but we're here. Collins, how are you?
It has been a fantastic weekend. Number one, I finally, after a decade, got a kit with the FIFA Club World Cup patch on it. I have been wanting that forever and ever and ever. And it's Carney Chukwuemeka on the back, which makes it even better. That came at halftime, which seemed to turn the tide of that game. So you're welcome. And then I spent most of the rest of the day at Mobcraft here in Milwaukee, drinking some fine beers. And tonight, picked up a little 6-pack to go. I got Punderstruck, which is an American Cascadian Dark with cherry, 7.3%.
Well, that sounds good.
So pot after dark is going to be great.
Collins, what else are we trying to do with Mobcraft?
Oh shit, that's right. See, I spent so much time at Mobcraft that I forgot what I did at Mobcraft. Mobcraft is wonderful. Shameless plug for them. Mobcraft is wonderful because it's all crowdsourced beers. So you get to submit an idea and then people vote on it. And if it gets enough votes, then they go ahead and they make it. So I submitted the Flag Stays Down as a beer. It's a sour, a blue raz sour, in honor of our favorite color, because blue is the color, football is the game, and Flag Stays Down is the beer. So that link is up on our Twitter page. If you could please go there and vote. Again, the more votes we get, the quicker that potentially gets put into production. So again, I'll put that up on social media, but go ahead and give us a vote there. It takes like 2 minutes. But getting into non-alcohol related things here. We do have a pod. This is episode number 5 of the season. I don't even want to touch just the toxic topic of number 5 right now. So we won't name it after J5. Someone give me another number 5. I'm sick of listing people off and you guys just tell me I'm wrong. So someone give me one.
Michael Essien?
No, I said sold, as in I'll take it. And
Good.
We can dedicate this podcast after Michael Essien.
That's what I was hoping. That's where I was hoping this would go, instead of last week's slander of Cesc Fabregas. So I'll take this one.
True central defensive midfielder, Michael Essien.
Yes, the Bison. If only he wasn't injured half the time, would have been great. Kind of like Jorginho. Another great number 5.
Yeah, you better keep drinking.
Oh, it's so good.
We might have to
All
do like 7 or 8 seasons of this thing, Collins, to get a J5 episode where we run out of number 5s to dedicate this thing after.
Once he has left the club, then we can do that episode as J5.
Next week, he's gonna be the number 6. The position that he plays.
Oh, good Lord.
There you go.
All right. Well, on this week's pod, we're covering just a couple topics here. Number 1, Cobra Kai is back, and also our piss poor attack. Number 2, we're talking about that VAR decision. Did we finally catch a break in VAR? I refuse to believe it. Number 3, Wesley Fofana's debut. Almost a world record in terms of defenders or transfer fee for defenders. Is he going to live up to it? What did we see out of him? And finally, we'll talk about the goalkeeper situation. It's a lot of things. It's a topic that a lot of people seemingly want to talk about, but don't want to find an answer to at the moment. So we'll get into our thoughts on that. First, we'll start with that attack, with that piss poor attack. But what was it this week? Mason Mount and Kai Havertz against Southampton. It was 5 matches without a goal or an assist. Although, no, Mace got an assist technically in that one, right?
Jace didn't get technically credited with that assist, but he crossed the ball into Sterling's feet for Southampton for that first goal. So I don't know why he didn't get credited with it. Maybe he took a deflection or something on the way in there, but no. So it was 5 games, 0 goals, 0 assists for those 2, and then Cobra Kai got off the 0 mark with his goal against West Ham. So still lackluster. I mean, by all standards, and it's really, really easy to look at the big name signing over in Manchester and see what Erling Haaland continues to do and do over and over and over and over again. I think he's at 8 goals this season, something like that. I distinctly remember talking on our pre-pod episode about how no one's really talking about how this is a problem, how Erling Haaland can be scoring all of these goals. And it's at least in early season look, it seems to have manifested itself. But yeah, it was good to see Cobra Kai. I don't want to call him back. Yeah, he scored a goal. It was a well taken chance, but our attack has been poor. That's well documented. What I like is that we're trying different things. We're kind of putting ourselves in different situations. We had a different lineup against West Ham. I think with a bunch of new people and new signings, it's going to take a little bit of time to gel and figure some stuff out and figure out like our new identity. That's kind of like my new slogan right now is we need to figure out a new identity with our team, because I feel like a third of it's different now, and it's going to take a little bit of figure out our new style and maybe a new formation in the build up for that, or kind of finding out what systems we can play and can't play. So it'll be a bit, but yeah, Mace still hasn't been doing much of anything to make me become a believer in what he brings to us this year. I was happy with the Kai chance that he took, though. I'll leave it at that.
Collins, what about you?
Kai scored a goal, and I think just having watched Kai over the last couple seasons, what we're going to see now is he's going to score in 2 or 3 straight games, may score a brace in one of them, and we'll all be talking about he's here, he's living up to his potential, this is everything we wanted out of Kai, and then he'll go like 9 matches without scoring. And I'm probably in that span that'll happen to Mace too, but I'm just willing to bet we have the streakiest attack. So is Kai back? Probably temporarily, but I still think he's out of position. I don't think he's a striker. This West Ham game was built for him and Broja, and honestly, probably Timo Werner if he was around. It required a lot of runs in behind a defense where they were parking 11 behind the ball or back in their own half. And we just didn't have any creativity. We didn't have anybody making off-ball runs. We didn't have that incisive pass. We weren't playing quick enough. Yeah, there were changes in the attack, in the fact that Tuchel took out all of our attack. Like you left Sterling out there and put out Pulisic, who had played 20 minutes all season. And those were your only attackers. I don't see how that's an improvement. I don't really see how that's a change that benefits the team. He looked like he was outcoached again. And this is not the first time I've said Tuchel's been outcoached, especially going forward into that attack. As soon as Havertz came on, we started seeing more runs. We started seeing things open up in the game. Even to a lesser degree when Mason Mount came on, we were seeing more of that. Pulisic, although he had the most chances created, didn't do it for me. Raz was snuffed out. He's not a target man, and that's what we needed in the center of the pitch. If we're not going to be making runs as a target man, and Raz isn't that. He's too little. I've said it too many times on the pod so far this season. It's too many guys playing out of position. It's too much experimenting. Stick with what works, even if we have nothing that works. Stick to what you know, and I don't like it. The attack is not back, and it won't be for some time.
I thought Pulisic was one of our better players in the first half. I really thought him and Raz were probably our 2 more dangerous individuals. So I think that's a little harsh on Christian. And when we talk about, stick with what works, 0 goals, 0 assists for both of them. It clearly does not work. So that's all I'm going to say about that. You needed a change. You needed something different, and this was definitely something different. Keep in mind, and I've kind of mentioned this to both of you, we have a younger midfield. And Collins, we're not going to go down the Jorginho route. I'm going to focus on RLC and Connor. RLC, we don't know what his role is, right? Like it changes week to week. He's either a right wing back, he is a center mid, he's supposed to be on the attack, he's supposed to be the distributor. Like we don't know half the time what position he's playing when he's on the team sheet. We really don't know. It's a roll of the dice. Connor, we know that he is still young and very lively. He makes a lot of rash challenges, as we saw last week. But he is somebody that is still trying to, I think, kind of hone that in, right? He's kind of like one of those kids that tries so hard that he gets kind of caught up in everything that he's doing. Like he's trying to make an impact, but then he does it a little bit too much. And then, whatever happens. I think that'll come with a little bit of time with the first team. And I think that he will be somebody that will contribute under a more mature mindset. But I shared this stat with you guys. Like Thiago Silva had our most completed passes, which again, when in the first half we weren't doing much, right? It was Thiago Silva probably had the most dribbles out of anybody too, because he was just sitting there kind of waiting for somebody to open up. And I think that goes back to, who's what role. Like, yeah, you had Kova out there. And even at times, like Kova's trying to figure out what his role is with these two other guys who don't really know what their role is. Like like, where do I play? What am I supposed to do? Collins, I know that feeds into your point about Tuchel, right? You have people kind of playing out of position week in, week out, right?
Poor coach. Yes.
I completely understand that. Yes, I will not argue that. I like the change up just to see what would happen, right? We've tried keeping things consistent for a while, and it hasn't produced the results that we have been looking for or that we should have been expecting. Is Cobra Kai back? Fuck no. For the one chance that he did capitalize on, let's look back at the other 8 that he squandered. He is not back. He put a ball away in a crucial moment where we needed points. Yes, I will give him that. Ben Chilwell was the key to that whole entire thing. And I will keep harping on that. And I said that a few weeks ago that I still think that Chills is going to be our number 1. But coming off the injury, you have to take it easy with him. You can't rush him right back into that starting spot. I'm not saying that he has outdone Cucurella. I am not saying that. I'm not saying Cucurella is like your full-blown number 2. I am not saying that whatsoever. I don't think he had his best game this week. But I thought that with the impact that Chills had when he came on, and keep in mind, it was a straight swap. So seeing that impact, I think that is going to give Tuchel confidence to put him out there more in that starting position. But again, when you come off an ACL, you want to be very cautious of that, not overdo it too soon. But I thought that he looked hungry. He was whipping in crosses like we know he can. And let's not take away anything from that goal. That was absolutely filthy. You have to get the right angle on that ball. You have to get the right spin. Went through the keeper's legs. And let's not forget the fact that he headed the ball, did a full 180 beforehand, and had 0 angle into that goal. Like, that's somebody who wants it. Like, he was, and you saw all the excitement behind that. I think Chilwell changed the game. I do think the addition of Kai with fresh legs and Mount with fresh legs did help. Do I think they are our number 1 option? No. I think that when Aubameyang comes in, when he's ready, I think he is going to be the preferred number 9. And I am not entirely sure where Kai is going to fit into that if Raz has solidified that left wing position. The right wing, apparently is still up for grabs, but you got to look at Kai, Pulisic, Ziyech, Mount. So that could be just kind of a rotating thing. You know, the midfield is obviously slightly in shambles right now because we don't know who's doing what. So I like the shakeup. It gives us a different look, and we get a chance to experiment against a Southampton team, which theoretically we should not have had any problems with. We did a little bit because they hunkered down and, you know, we didn't know how to break it.
But okay, so what do we know how to break? We can't break when a team presses us. We can't break when a team sits back. And add on top of that, Matt, like you said, Chills came in and changed the game offensively. We had a whole pod last year where we were all loud wrong about, is it sustainable if the defense is our source of attack? And we all said, yeah, it is. And then the goals dried up for a couple months. The whole game plan in this game was feed the ball to Reece James and hope something good happens. How is that as a shakeup and an improvement? It's not. It's a step back. I wouldn't rather see Kai Havertz be offside 7 times, but why didn't Broja start? I guess that's really what I'm getting at here. Why aren't you playing a striker as a striker? Why are you playing a number 10 as a striker? Why are you playing Mason Mount on wing? Why are you playing Pulisic as a second striker? What? And oh my gosh. And you mentioned the midfield and just the clusterfuck that is. You've got guys who, like you said, don't know what role they're playing. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was playing like a chicken with his head cut off. He was just running around everywhere. Conor Gallagher is another guy who typically plays like that. And he was a little bit more reserved in this one. I think he learned. And then you have Kovacic, who normally is that guy. He is that guy going box to box. But he had to be the guy who was sitting back in almost a Jorginho role. What is happening? Why? Why do that? The problems with the attack are so much more than just the attack and the attackers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team-wide issue. Why is Thiago Silva leading the team in touches when the other team? Why is a defender? Why is your center back leading the team in touches when the other team is not pushing into your half?
Well,
why aren't these balls being pushed forward? Why isn't Kovacic? Why isn't Gallagher? Why isn't RLC getting these touches, trying to find an incisive pass? Why are they all doing the same thing when they're technically supposed to be in different roles? We look lost.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You know, had Jorginho been on the pitch, he would have led the team in touches, right? Because he would have just been, and Thiago Silva would have been second because he would have just been passing back to Thiago Silva. But that's not. I have to throw that out there just for fun. But at the same time, like if you watch our offense and like the occasional runs that they make, and that's the problem, they're occasional runs. So I was watching the Arsenal United game today. They are going nonstop, box to box. Doesn't matter. But we're in this possession, like, yes, we need to own possession in order to score. Right now, with what we have and what we're doing or what we're experimenting with, it's just not working. And we saw that. So if you remember Leicester when they won the league, I think their possession was close to 43% for the season, and they still won the league. Like, it's not about obtaining possession, it's about what you can do with the possession. And right now, yeah, we're winning the possession battle hands down. We're usually around 67%, something like that, for every game. That's great, but we don't do a damn thing with it. And other teams, yeah, they have their 30-ish%, and they're still beating us or they're drawing with us. So the possession game is not working. We need to be more aggressive as we go forward, and right now we are not.
I think I can't remember. I think it was you, Matt, that touched on this earlier. We just need to play faster when we're in possession. It needs to be quicker touches and more creativity, more runs, and it's just too slow. Everyone's just kind of stagnant out there, and it's passed on the right, bring it back out, circle it around, blah blah blah, rinse, repeat. It doesn't really go anywhere. My biggest issue with the attack is missed opportunities. I went back and I had to refresh myself on the Southampton game because it feels like an eternity ago, even though it was just a couple of days ago. And Ziyech played a ball from the right all the way down to Kai, who made a great run, and Kai was basically one-on-one and puts the most like soft shot on goal that the keeper ended up just catching and saving. And I was just like, man, those are great chances. Those are goal scoring opportunities, and they just kind of go to waste. And Ziyech is someone that we haven't really talked about a ton this year. I think everyone kind of thought he was going back to Ajax. He's still out there, and he played a lot of dangerous balls into boxes or into good spaces, and didn't really get capitalized on. So I try to analyze our attack from what's the supply look like, and then what's the end result look like. And Reece James is a great example of someone who puts a lot of pressure on people and puts a lot of balls into good spaces. And then what can we do with them? And I hate to admit this, but Kurt Zuma had a pretty good game in the West Ham match of predicting where those balls were going to be. And we had runners in the right spots, and the ball was kind of on point, but Kurt was, God, I hate to say this, a step ahead of us. Man, that was painful.
Yeah.
Did he have
take a drink to drown your sorrows?
Oh man,
cat-like reflexes out of Kurt Zuma.
Yeah, baby giraffe out there, but his feet were in the right place, luckily. He just, I don't know. It seems to me like, and Collins, I completely agree with this point. Everything runs through our wing backs. I really don't think a lot runs through our midfield and like through the middle of the pitch. Everything is based on the wing backs, specifically Reece, Cucurella, Chills. The problem with that is you have nobody in the box. Like, there were so many, I think it was, in the last match, Reece put a ball that went right across the 6-yard box, and nobody was within about 10 yards of it. It's like,
no one was in the box.
How? That is your job as an attacker to be in that position. Everybody's looking for that cutback or whatever. No, get in front, get to the ball, make yourself an option. Pulisic at least makes an effort to get there. That's the one thing I will say about him. He makes an effort to get there. So does Raz. They make an effort to get there. Kai, maybe.
The one thing I'll say, Matt, is on that Kai goal, Mace made the run. He was near post on that run, drew a defender with him, and then Kai was available on that kind of cutback cross to put that goal ahead. But it was because of Mace's run in the 6-yard box that caused that. So I'll give Mace a credit for that.
Right. But my rebuttal to that is, how often do you see Mace make that near run post? Or that near post run? You never see it. And he's always trying to be that trailer or anything like that. It's like, no, get forward. Like, make yourself an option. Don't just, because it seems like right now we have 3 guys waiting for the cutback and nobody going in to the 6-yard box for anything. And I think that's the problem, because Reece can he can deploy that service anytime he damn well pleases at this point. Same with Cucurella. Same with Chills. They can all give you that service. You just have to be there. And I don't know why that's such an issue, where I think somebody like Aubameyang, I think he's going to thrive in something like that. He's not big on like a ton of like the cutbacks. Like he's not going to be like a late runner. He's always going to be in that box, right? That's kind of where I think that he makes a living. I know the number 9, fuck off. But like, that's something that he does. That's something he's done his whole career, wherever he's been. So you don't have Kai doing it. You need somebody else who can do it. I do think that Broja would do it. You probably have to stop him from making so many runs into that 6-yard box. He's hungry. He's aggressive. He was built for this match. To go up against Zuma, absolutely. Get a big bruiser in there and just let him do what he does. And he did almost have a couple chances. And I feel like every game that he's come on, he's had a couple chances, or he's at least making things uncomfortable. So I would like to see more of him. But I do think he's going to play third wheel to Aubameyang and Kai as the year goes forward.
I just want to close out the topic with this, because I said it to you guys in the group chat, and I felt like for a minute it fell on deaf ears. So I want to make sure. I want to see your guys' reaction. We haven't looked this inept, this uncoordinated, and honestly this flaccid in attack since the waning months of Frank Lampard. And that was the big criticism on him, was that he didn't have an offensive system. The players didn't know what they were doing. The players came out and actually said in the media that they did not know what they were doing in attack. There was no guidance. That's how this feels. That's how this looks. Pot after garden.
I'm torn. I'm torn. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And I think my whole thing is it's going to take some rebuilding and retooling. So they don't know what it looks like today because there's been a lot of changes, and we're changing system and personnel like crazy so far. And we need some consistency. And I think it's going to take a couple of weeks, if not like a month or so to figure out. I'm reserving my judgment on does this work for like December. And if we're doing the same thing from now until December and it still doesn't work, I will happily concede my point if this doesn't work. But there's too much variability in what we're doing on a week-to-week basis, because you can't play Pulisic as a sub as right wing back and then start him as a second striker in the next game that's 4 days later. Like, there's no consistency of where our players are. We need consistency of position, system, and people understanding what their role is on the pitch. I mean, that's why like a Jorginho Kovacic partnership works so well, because Jorginho damn sure knows what his role is. Kovacic then gets to go be free and do what he does best and go up further and be more in attack. So these guys that have played with each other for a long time understand that. And I just feel like there's way too many new pieces that are fitting into this puzzle for us to have any sort of credibility. Half the guys were signed in this window. I mean, Broja and Cucurella and Fofana and Koulibaly, all these guys, Sterling, all these guys are new this year. So it's a pretty quick turnaround to want us to be in mid-season form when it's only week 5, 6.
So I'll split the fence on this. I will play my best Parker impersonation. So the whole thing with Frank is that everybody was free flowing. Everybody was free flowing. Don't you roll your eyes at me. I know where you live. Like everything was free flowing, right? Everything was free form. It's like, oh yeah, just go out there and try and score a goal. There was no real model of how we move forward in attack. With Tuchel, yes, there are new signings and things like that, new partnerships. I get that, but at the same time, Mount, Pulisic, Havertz, James, Chilwell, Silva, like they know the system. You look at Jorginho and Kova, they know the system. They know what should be expected. So that's kind of where I split it, as like, yeah, you can put it on new signings, but your core is still there and they know what they should be doing. And even some of the core people look like they don't exactly know what they should be doing. But to go to your Frank comment, everything was just go out there and try and score, like go nuts. So I don't think there was really a system for an attack. So that's where I split the fence.
Fair enough. I'll end any topic on Matt splitting the fence. I never thought I'd see that. So here's one that's this one may split the fence here too. Let's talk about that VAR decision that, for lack of a better term, gifted us 3 points on Saturday. Parker, do you want to describe what happened in that? You seem to have a better memory of these things than I do.
The fact that I remember that we played twice this week qualifies me for that, so I'll take that. That's fine. VAR decision very late on. Gosh, it must have been like the 87th, 88th minute or so of that match, and I mean, am I happy with it? Yeah, absolutely. We finally got ourselves a call. It feels like VAR is against us, and I'll take it a step further into now in the media. It's kind of being talked about that that VAR is now VAR is bad because a decision went against Chelsea, and I kind of laughed to myself like, oh well, when everyone else gets their calls, VAR is fine, and VAR is doing exactly what it should be, and once it gifts Chelsea one, that's when we need to start investigating it and taking it to the higher powers. But what can I say, man? I completely disagree with the call. I think it was a pretty weak call. I don't know what anyone would expect when a keeper goes to the ground, to try to save a ball like that. He got stepped on in the process, and I don't know. I don't think it was anyone's fault. I don't think it was a foul. I think we, in general, protect keepers, which I agree with, like in aerial situations and whatnot. But when a keeper goes to the ground like that, I think it's a little bit of free game, and it seemed like he deflected the ball, and then there was a carry, forward foul like that, and we got gifted. Collins, you said it best. We got gifted 3 points. I mean, as I watched the match, I try to put myself in the other team's shoes, and I would have been absolutely livid. We would have been coming onto this podcast cursing up a storm with, fuck VAR, and VAR is out to get us. And Anthony Taylor probably had something to do with that call, even though he wasn't reffing our match. And, and Mike Dean probably wrote a letter somewhere to get that influence there. And, there would have been conspiracy theories, right? Of course. And so, yeah, we got a call. I'm not sorry about it. We take our own shit from other matches, and it all happens. And that's where I like to think like there's no bias out there against us, because things tend to balance it out in the universe over a large enough sample size. And this one was a gift, absolute gift.
Matthew.
So I personally think that it was a foul, strictly for the reason that when I saw the first replay of it, I thought that Jared Bowen had deliberately kept his left leg down to try and initiate the contact. And that was the biggest thing that they were looking at, is they kept looking at what was the contact. They kept looking, obviously he had stumbled a little bit before that, but still, you have to make, as an attacker, you have to make every attempt to avoid the keeper, right? That's just in the rules. That's how they protect him. And to me, it looked like he dragged that left foot. he didn't make an effort. It almost looked like he stuck it down further than you would try to avoid somebody, like try and bring it up. It looked like he kept it down to try and initiate the contact to maybe draw his own penalty. That's how I viewed it. Now, on the flip side, it should have been leveled up before that. Cornet's header off the post, it should have been leveled up before that. The fact that Cornet got the goal again, I think that's just tough on him, right? Like, you hit the post and then 2 minutes later you score the goal and then it gets overturned by VAR. That's just a rough day. But at the same time, I think it was the right call, because I think it did impact to an extent. I'm going to choose this very specifically. To an extent, it did impact Mendy's ability to perhaps get back up and make an attempt to at least try and get back. That's where I'll leave it. We know about exaggerations in the league. It prohibited him from at least making an attempt to get up and get back. I do think the biggest thing that led to that decision was the fact that his left foot did not come up. I think it went down to actually draw the contact. And I think that was the biggest determining factor in the whole thing.
What comes to mind after that, Matt, is Mikel Arteta last year. The "if I speak my mind, I'll be suspended" thing. Because you week in and week out talk about Jorginho and when he gets beaten, he falls to the ground and doesn't track back and all that. Mendy howled to the moon like a little bitch after that. Cool. Somebody's shoe dragged on your leg or on your arm. Your job is to keep shots out of the goal. I've seen players keepers basically get kicked in the stomach, still get up, make a save, wait for a stoppage and play, and then go down. You had someone's toe drag on your arm. This was Mendy. This was prime Mendy for this year. He got lucky in this call. Bowen probably was going for a penalty of his own, but it wouldn't surprise me. The ball was already away, and so why not simulate contact? Mendy was also looking for a call of his own. That was very clear. He could have gotten up. There was time and there was space to get up, but he would have looked even more terrible conceding that goal at that point. That was awful. I don't want to see that out of Mendy ever again. But to echo the point that's already been said, had this happened the other way, had it been us, scoring the goal and having it called back based on this, I'd be furious. This would absolutely be some Anthony Taylor, Mike Dean nonsense.
Shithousery.
So I'm glad that we got our one VAR call out of the way. Now the VAR referees and the officials can say, no, we treat Chelsea just the same as everybody else. So now it'll go back to normal. So I'm happy we got that. I'm happy I got to see it live. Hashtag blessed. But it was bullshit. We should have dropped 2 points in that game. And if not because of that, because of last year Burnley's leading scorer, Maxwell Cornet, should have absolutely scored twice. So
we've all seen everything now. VAR is being investigated and blah 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 over their rough weekend, and at the end of the day, it's still an individual decision, regardless of who the head official is, regardless of who the VAR official is. So the VAR head official, it's their call to say, hey, you should go look at this, despite the replays, right? And then it goes up to the actual head official of the match to go look at it and then make their decision. Despite what VAR is in place to do, it's still a very subjective thing to call a game on. Again, I think very, very loosely, it did impact Mendy's ability to potentially get up and make a concerted effort to try and get back towards goal. Do I think he would have done anything differently as far as like stopping the shot or anything like that? Absolutely not. No, I think he would have been completely useless. I think he played into the rule, which is you have to make a concerted effort to get out of the way of the goalkeeper. And I don't think Jared Bowen did that. And so I think that's why the call was made. And the thing with VAR is everything, in theory, everything is by the letter of the law. Bullshit. It comes up to whoever is in charge of VAR at the time and whoever is the head official, because those are the two that get the call to actually make the final decision. So do I think we got lucky? I think that we got what was coming to us after a number of years. Do I think that it was correct by the letter of the law? Yes.
Clear and obvious error. Did it correct a clear and obvious error?
By the letter of the law? Yes.
Clear and obvious. Clear and obvious.
By the letter of the law.
But here's the issue, is that Parker is saying the letter of a law, and you're also saying the letter of a law, and so it's just a constant clusterfuck. It always will be.
It's a bit of a feedback loop, but to me, there was nothing about that foul that was clear and obvious. He did not stomp a Jared Bowen jumping on Mendy 2-footed onto his chest is clear and obvious. Like, that's clear and obvious to me. He dragged his foot. That's not clear and obvious to me. That could be consequential. That could be incidental. It could be simulation. Like there's ambiguity there. God, I can't fucking talk today. There's ambiguity in his thing. So that therefore defines not clear and obvious to me, just based on not being ambiguous. So I like VAR to come in where something was actually missed that was like, oh, he was 3 yards off sides and no one called it. Bring that back, because that was clear and obvious. And it's the most subjective term ever, which means they get away with everything. And Kai was a pube offside a week ago and he got called for it, and so no one knows what's going on with this damn system anyway. So it's all a farce, right? And it goes against us more than it helps us, and I acknowledge that, but I can use their dumb definitions of this even when it goes for us, because it's all stupid.
Right. And I'm not saying that it's right. Like, let me be clear. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying, by the letter of the laws that have been instilled, according to the individuals that were in charge of VAR at the time, it said to the head official, hey, go take a look at this, whoever that was. And then the official, who did spend a fair amount of time reviewing it,
he was getting the okay.
It's hard to argue against that.
Chelsea a call.
It's hard to argue against that. Like, I'm not saying I'm proud of it, but if again everybody says, well, by the letter of the law, right? By the letter of the law, it was somewhat clear and obvious. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's the way that VAR is called. So you have to go with it.
All right, but by the letter of the law, I'm slightly changing subjects here.
Please do.
Edward Mendy has struggled. His just individual errors have led to 3-4 goals this year, which is very high for him. His backup is Kepa, the world's most expensive keeper. Hashtag Matt says hashtag free Kepa. But Kepa comes with his own bag of errors. The guy can't come out and punch a ball away on a free kick. Anything shot from outside the box is going to go through his legs, go through his arms. But his mistakes don't always lead to goals. So there's the debate going on right now, at least on Chelsea Twitter. Do you want the known quantity of mistakes or the unknown quantity of mistakes? A lot of people are still on Team Mendy, but I feel like this pod may be shifting a little bit. Now, I'm curious to hear what you guys think.
As you, Collins, you can kick us off for the last topic of the day.
Kepa. I'm Team Kepa. He's the world's most expensive keeper for a reason. He has been the utmost professional. Again, the dude was the most expensive keeper in the world. Had a guy in his late 20s brought in from France to take his starting spot. And since the whole blow up with Sarri in the Carabao Cup final, has been remarkable. You don't see anything in the news of him, blow ups with Tuchel. Word is him and Mendy get along great. Even him and Bettinelli get along great. And there were reports at the end of last year that he had been working specifically with Petr Cech and changed his style of goalkeeping. I'm not a goalkeeper. I've never have been a goalkeeper. I don't know what that means, but it sounds encouraging. There's a reason that we paid so much for the kid. Now, not so much a kid anymore, but not that he's the long-term fix in this situation, but I think we're in a situation where Edward Mendy played above the mean for a while and is now regressing to the mean, which is what we were seeing at Nice. For the rest of this year, I think it's going to have to be a patchwork. It's going to have to be playing the hot hand or playing the less cold hand. Give Kepa a couple starts. What's the worst that can happen? It's not going to be worse than what you're seeing right now out of Mendy. I don't think you're going to see a clear and obvious error lead to a goal from Kepa. I think you're going to see some stupid things happen, but we're not going to see him trying to juke out an attacker leading to a goal while we get stomped 3-0 to a team that we haven't lost to in 14 years.
Is that by letter of the law? I just want to be clear on that.
Absolutely. And I checked it in VAR.
Okay, good. I'm
Yep.
Team Kepa right now. This isn't anything new. This is the same shit that we talked about last year. He's indecisive. And Collins, I laughed when you said, when you're talking about Kepa, his inability to punch a ball away. Have you seen Mendy? He punched away one ball, and the other opportunity he had to punch a ball away, he wasn't even close. Yeah, he wasn't even close. And that's been consistent. Kepa is a lot more decisive. Mendy is not, which I find that kind of funny because Mendy is 6'6", 6'7", and Kepa is 6'3". And Kepa is a lot more decisive. He's willing to go up and take a lot more punishment than Mendy is, aside from Jared Bowen. But Mendy's distribution is still shit. Yes, his shot stopping ability is great. We did see that on a few chances. I right now I trust Kepa more in those situations. Give him a chance, right? It can't be worse. Kepa's better on the ball, better distribution. He's going to be a lot more decisive in those kind of questionable plays. Yeah, shot stopping outside the box. Maybe you lose a little bit there, maybe, but it's not it's not a bad thing to try it out and see what happens. I mean, we're already kind of surviving at this point. So what the hell's the harm at, like, right now? Like, yeah, Arsenal dropped points today, but United is what, second or third? Brighton is fourth. Like, do something. And I'll save this for later, but just do something different with the keeper. You've tried a bunch of other combinations. Try something with the keeper. Maybe he's not your guy right now. Sitting him a few games, just having him focus on training, bettering his craft, and then go from there.
A couple weeks ago, we talked about Kai Havertz not having any competition for the striker spot, and he got complacent. And I think when you bench somebody because someone else gets a shot, it can light a fire in other players. And when you have no other options, you're kind of like, what do I do? You know, do I keep someone out there or whatever? But when you have a competent goalie like Kepa, you got to give him a shot to step in and just change things up and let Mendy kind of sit and think and wish he was out there and want to be better and want to improve and take those steps to get better. It helps your squad when you have competition. That's why Chelsea's been successful in the past. We bring in a lot of competition, and we look at like Benny Chills, and he's a guy that's coming off of an ACL injury, and then he signed Cucurella, and it's like, I gotta step up, man. I gotta play, and you gotta take your chances when you get them. And so Benny Chills comes in as a sub, gets a goal and assist, right? Like, it brings the best out of players when you put them up against it. It can bring a lot out of people. I don't think goalie's any different. And right now, our biggest problem is set pieces and not shots from outside the box. So I think we need to figure out how to defend set pieces first. And I think having a commanding goalie is the first step into doing that. And that's where I think our biggest hole is. So fix that first. Mendy's gotten a couple of hands to some of the goals that have come through, and he hasn't stopped them. So right now, he's not doing enough to keep his spot. His errors are outpacing his saves or his ability, and I think Kepa can help fix some of the holes. I mean, you guys said it well with, he's not our long-term solution, and he's not like the end-all be-all, and I think we need to kind of work with balancing the two of them together, but pit them against each other and make them fight for their position and make them fight for who gets the more quality game time, right? Who gets to play against Liverpool, who gets to play against City, who gets to play against United, Tottenham, Arsenal, those guys. And let's see who wants to get out there on the big games.
I think the other thing that a lot of people forget is when Mendy was out at AFCON, Kepa showed up in a big ass way. Like, he carried that and he played out of his mind for those 2 months. So it's not like we have some scrub off the street, right? We have somebody who can compete, and I hope that we're able to see Kepa more than we have been, because right now I think Mendy is struggling a little bit, and I think you need Kepa to kind of step in and give him a shot.
He got us all the way to the Carabao Cup final, all the way to the FA Cup final, all the way to the Club World Cup final, only to lose his spot in all three of those matches to Edward Mendy. Now, granted, you didn't see him have his dad go on Twitter and blast Thomas Tuchel or blast the club like other players in this club have done. But again, he's been the utmost professional. You can't tell me that he doesn't deserve a shot. And the thing, talking about things that people aren't necessarily thinking of in regards to this competition, it's a World Cup year. Kepa's a fringe player for Spain. You don't think he wants to get out there and impress? You don't think that he wants to be on that plane to Qatar? Edward Mendy's already there. Senegal doesn't have anything behind him. Kepa, though, needs to play. He needs to impress. So you're going to, just like I've been saying the last couple of weeks, hungry players. You need hungry players who want to eat. Let Kepa eat.
We're all in agreement. That's a Been a bit. I like that.
I like it. All right. Well, Parks, before we get into the closing stages here, looks like we got quite a few viewers on Twitch. You want to give some shout outs real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. A couple first time chatters, which is always great to see. We'll give them shout outs here. Grundelk and Irishman 21, both first time chatters. Thanks for hopping in the chat, boys, and interacting with us a bit. It's always good to have that kind of fan interaction, and people can talk to us there, and we can bring up points in our podcast. It makes it a little bit more interactive, and it's always a fun time to see people hopping in live with us. But appreciate everyone that listens to us, regardless of if you're live or the recorded version too.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Irishman 21. Bring Timo Werner back. That may have been a sarcastic comment, but you can't tell on the internet. Best striker this club has ever had. Give him the number 9. He'll probably be the best number 9 we've ever had.
Wouldn't be any worse than the 11 that he wore.
Well, that's for sure.
All right. Well, with that, we are past the hour mark. It's been a while since we've done that. So, any closing thoughts? Parker, we'll start with you.
No, nothing for me. Thought that we captured everything pretty properly in the episode. So, no, I'll just tip my hat to you boys, and we'll go from there.
Matthew?
Just, I think we're at a point right now. I'm going to tread carefully when I say this. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
All right. Well, before we cheers, let's pay some bills, for lack of a better term. If you've enjoyed what you watched on Twitch TV, please give us a follow there. Again, we'll be here most Sunday evenings, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. If you're busy on Sundays, or if you like listening to the podcast version, you can catch us anywhere you get your podcasts. All we ask that is if you do listen to us on Spotify or Apple, that you subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Spotify is great because all you do is you press the amount of stars. You don't have to write a review, anything like that. Just press that, give us 5 stars. As always, you can follow us on social media. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at FlagDownPod. Again, I'll be putting up the beer vote on there. Please give us a vote for Mobcraft Beer, for them to make us a beer. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Andy. Follow me at Comiskey North. You can follow Parker at DJ Parkour. And you can follow Matt at Matus Lee. If you have any questions or comments you want us to address on air, we're always happy to read what you got. So feel free to shoot us a DM on any social media, or like we had a couple come in tonight, feel free to come join us live in the chat on Twitch. So that's all I've got, boys. Let's toast to Matt's point, which best thing about hitting rock bottom is that the only place to go is up.
Amen.
I'm all potted out.